Elon says what he says. He says that this isn't energy efficient. So I'd like to just discuss that and then get into what this company Argo is doing about it. But the statement that Elon Musk made, it begs the question, and we started talking about this yesterday. Why would Elon Musk 2 to 3 months ago make such a big decision, make such a spectacle of going out and purchasing all this Bitcoin so people can buy cars with Bitcoin, and then reverse his decision just a couple months later? I mean, everybody thinks Elon Musk is a genius. Certainly he must have done his homework and figured out that Bitcoin already had these issues before he would go out publicly and make that statement, don't you think?
You know what? We briefly touched on this yesterday, and just you laying it out there makes me think this is all according to some sort of plan, because he is a genius, right?
Right. So what plan is that? To enrich Elon Musk or to make all of us poor, or both?
Well, maybe to get everyone's attention on think about if you wanted to point out the energy. He's an energy guy, right? Tesla is an energy company. If you wanted everyone to be aware of the energy drain of Bitcoin, what better way to do that than to do exactly what he just did?
Sure. But he's Elon Musk. I don't think he had to go through the exercise of buying 1.5 billion Bitcoin, telling everybody, "Oh, I'll do this for Tesla," and then reverse his decision a couple months later. Why didn't he just say, "Hey, I was thinking about buying 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, but then I realized Bitcoin is inefficient. So actually, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to buy something else," without playing his cards. He didn't have to tell us he's going to go buy Cardano or the what do we call this thing already? The doggy coin, the Doge coin. What do you call it?
I guess what I hear is Doge.
Okay, Doge. But to be honest with you, the meme is of a dog, so I don't know why we don't call it a doggy coin. But
yeah, right.
So didn't have to play his hand that way, but he could have just literally done the same thing without having to go through all the theatrics of it all, right? And in fact, I mean, from my standpoint, I know we both believe that Elon Musk is a very smart man, but I kind of lost respect for him yesterday.
Well, he's smart, but he's smart, but mercurial, right?
Okay, you're using big words.
He doesn't play by the standard rules, I guess, is the thing. He's willing to have fun to achieve what he wants, and fun for him is doing whatever he feels like doing. So that's definitely a wild card, I think, with his behavior.
Right. So it's interesting. So anyhow, I don't want to focus too much on him. I mean, all he has to do is tweet something and all the focus is on him. So let's not give it any more credit than it deserves right now. I just wanted to brush on that topic because more importantly, I wanted to talk about Argo's big announcement this morning. They're a Bitcoin mining corporation, and they just made a huge announcement that they just invested millions into buying 2 hydroelectric plants in Canada. And they're going to go ahead and power their Bitcoin mining with hydroelectricity, which I thought was pretty interesting, right? So that's going to change everything. So if somebody's saying, hey, Bitcoin is inefficient, if they can find a way to do it with alternative energy, isn't that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I think we should play both sides of the coin on this one. What do you say?
I have that's a great question. I just have a quick question first. I wonder if you have heard, has anybody calculated how much energy it will take to mine the final Bitcoin? Because what's our goal here? Like to get to just keep mining ourselves into oblivion? Like, I hope somebody has calculated that, because if it's going to take more energy than the earth creates to get that final Bitcoin, maybe we should just stop what we're doing at this point.
And you're absolutely right. And this is why I say we should talk about it on both sides. It's because, number one, Argo is now going out and they're trying to promote this. Well, they are promoting this image that, hey, we are now using green energy to produce Bitcoin. So everybody's probably like, yay, good job, Argo, right? But the other side of that coin is they're going to create like I can't remember if it was 20 million megawatts or something like that. It's some huge astronomical number that they're going to generate from these two power plants to mine Bitcoin. What else could we have done with that energy, right?
Yeah,
That's green energy. So all the homes that are consuming energy and all the things that consume energy, including Tesla cars, right? Let's throw that in the mix just for fun. All the
sure.
things that consume a lot of energy are going to be on dirty energy while we use clean energy to mine Bitcoin. There seems to be some kind of disconnect for me there. What do you think?
That I think that sucks. I think that really sucks. Like, yeah, it's so much, and I get that that's the barrier. And in some ways, I guess it sucks. I hate to say this, but for this purpose, it kind of sucks that the price of Bitcoin is so high to make it worth it to spend all that energy to get those Bitcoins. It's
Right.
not cool, bro. Yeah, I would rather they use that energy for something more, I don't know, practical, I guess.
Well, we talked about it. I mean, the energy used to create Bitcoins is more than, some countries use in a year. And that's pretty significant. I mean, again, China is shutting down Mongolia. They're going to put a ban on new Bitcoin mining in China of all places. So there is a point of too much already. And I love Bitcoin, man. I've been in Bitcoin for a long time, and I can't believe I'm actually having this conversation with you because I don't want to do anything to damage the price of Bitcoin. But if it's damaging the planet and damaging all of us to get there, and I mean, energy prices are going to soar for us consumers just because they're sucking so much energy away for Bitcoin mining.
You know what I just thought? Look at the conversation we are having. We would not have the we would not have had this conversation before Elon just did what he did, right?
Well, it's kind of interesting because on May 7th, we did a video about the Mongolia thing and China cracking down. So we started having that conversation, and it was interesting. You remember the conversation we had?
Well, yeah, we were talking about the issues with energy production and stuff. We never poo-pooed Bitcoin at all. We didn't
Well, I
fault
think we were afraid
Bitcoin.
to do that because we just didn't want to pile on. I have an investment in Bitcoin. I don't know about you, but I don't want to see the future of it. So I guess that it's interesting. Yeah, I think we were starting to talk about it because of the Mongolia thing, and then it raised the question whether or not green energy was going to solve the problem, or if Bitcoin shouldn't be in existence at all anymore. So I think we've been kind of talking about it a lot. Will this be kind of the nail in the coffin for Bitcoin?
Man, I know you hear so many conversations about hold your Bitcoin forever and store of value, and it'll be worth $1 million someday. Obviously, not this cycle, but maybe 2 or 3 cycles from now or whatever. But we're talking about future plans for Bitcoin, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
is there a future for Bitcoin if this is the issue?
I don't know if we're looking at portfolio rebalancing at this point, but maybe we should be considering that.
I don't know if there's that much to do during this cycle, and I don't know. We talked about hodling, holding long-term crypto, and I think it's definitely a question for the long-term holds. But as far as the short term, like for this cycle, I don't know that it really creates that much of an issue. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of inertia. Nothing's really going to change right now until the price of Bitcoin, until the bubble pops and the price of Bitcoin deflates, and then we can rethink some energy issues before it, during the last bear market, there wasn't that much mining going on because the price of the coin didn't make it worth it for the energy it took. So there's almost like a built-in limiter depending on the price. If the price of Bitcoin stays low, then all this energy isn't going to be going into it. And maybe that's part of the solution. The price just needs to be lower.
Yeah, and I see the difference between 2017 and today being a significant gap. Back then, I mean, it was a very specific group of people who were investing in it and putting their money into it. Today, you're talking about a lot of mainstream businesses getting into it and it going mainstream on to the retail sector as well. And so there's so much more money. I don't ever really believe that I'll see a 4,000, 5,000 Bitcoin ever again. Maybe 20,000 something, 30,000 something. But even that's kind of hard for me to see. So it still makes it very attractive. But there is a point where the miners can't make money. And that number raises as more miners are on the network. So maybe that is the built-in governor. You would think that right now, with how hard it is to mine the next Bitcoin, as you were alluding to, what's the last Bitcoin going to take in energy, that there would be less people getting into mining. I'm not sure what that trend is. There's a lot of people out there trying to mine Bitcoin right now, and it's like going out and panning for gold. Back in the day, it's free money.
As long as the price keeps going up, the miners are going to keep entering the market.
Right. That's interesting. Well, hey, it was a great conversation. Freeform Friday, anything goes. We could talk about anything. We could even talk about hyperinflation right now in the United States. Is it real?
Well, yeah, I think what's really interesting about that is that supposedly the other day the stock markets tanked because of the threat of high inflation, and the crypto markets tanked at the same time. But I thought the whole point was that cryptos were a hedge against inflation. But if they're going to be hit, there needs to be a decoupling that people talk about all the time when the crypto market doesn't follow the U.S. stock market anymore. But it really seems like they're still running fairly parallel at this point. And so how much of a hedge against inflation is crypto at this point?
Well, and I think as we see more and more ETFs come out, I think that's going to hurt the inflation hedge, because I think we're going to see more of a coupling of the digital asset Bitcoin with the stock market.
That's
true. It happened to gold and silver. We see that the stock market drives the spot price of gold and silver. And we know that the supply of silver is very low relative to the demand in the physical world, yet the ETFs, all on the short side, are driving the price of silver down. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with Bitcoin or all the cryptos at some point, depending on how many ETFs are out there.
Yeah, it's so crazy because crypto is such a global thing, and yet it's still linked to the U.S. stock market. It will decouple someday. Well, that's really interesting that you threw in the wild card of the ETFs. How is that going to affect it? Is that going to keep it from decoupling? That's crazy. Wow, man.
Well, think about it. We'll be able to do shorting on the shorting on crypto now with ETFs, where I don't think we have the ability. I mean, there is kind of a way to do it, but it's so complicated. I imagine there's only like 1% of the people out there or less.
Yeah, there was not an institutional way of doing it. Now it'll be institutional. Yeah, it's going to be a different ballgame.
Yeah. So if you're getting value out of our conversation today, is it time for that? Do we have to do a wrap up here? All right. So
I was just going to say we talked about some really interesting mega trends to definitely keep track of in the coming months and years. So really, really cool stuff.
Yeah. And if you're finding value in what we're talking about here today, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you like what we talked about. Thank you very much for the conversation today, Dean. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was fun. Always interesting, Gary.
Always interesting, and we have this new thing called Freeform Friday. I hope you like it.